I'm not breaking any news here. This thing is awesome. There's a certain quality or consideration which can help elevate a product. For all my time producing and creating content, it's exciting finding a fresh twist on something that I used to take for granted. Tripods are a funny thing. I mean, you'd think that this would be easy. 3 legs and they hold a camera up, but it's a tool which can be surprisingly difficult to find the right fit for your needs. When we're getting into photography, I think we all start out at some point with one of these Walmart or Target plastic specials. And we can cover the basics of just propping a camera up, but then from here, we start refining our criteria for what we really need and what we want. I'm a mobility-focused creator, and when I'm in the gadget lab, I work in a pretty small office. So it really makes more sense for me to have something that excels out at a trade show and is good to very good for a small studio space. As I often produce completely on my own, I'm a totally solo, hosting and shooting, space and weight are critical. Setups and interactions need to be fast, and I'm gonna be working on my feet all day. I'm not exaggerating when I say the Peak Design travel tripod is something of a revelation. I'm going hands-on with the lower cost aluminum model, and there's also a carbon fiber version, which we're gonna talk about in just a sec. But immediately, it's shocking how compact this setup is. 5-section legs with an adjustable center column and a built-in ball and socket head, and it folds up smaller than any other travel tripod I've used, and it can stand up to 5 feet tall when it's fully extended. And it's just so pretty. I rationally know that shouldn't matter, but I grew up playing with Transformers, and this ain't no GoBot. It collapses and snaps together with gorgeous precision. I just don't think I've found anything that matches it for all of the careful considerations, all of the little details. We should always expect some compromises on portable or travel gear, but there aren't many here. The joint on each leg has a wonderful resistance with almost no wiggle once you set the angle you need, but they're not so stiff that it feels like you really have to engage all of your muscle groups to make a quick adjustment. The leg extension locks are simple and sturdy. It's a fast tripod to adjust and get the height you want. This ball and socket head is great for 2 reasons. 1, when changing angle, you don't really have to move your hands around. Keep one hand on the camera, turn the ring, adjust, turn the ring from any orientation. It's a super small change from a traditional ball and socket, which might have 2 knobs on the side, but one that I think is subtly faster to operate. And the second reason, again, this is super small, but when you collapse the tripod, you loosen the ball and socket, and it just snaps closed perfectly flush with the top of the tripod. I mean, you don't have to flip it to the side or straighten it back out or adjust it. Gravity does the work for you when you're tearing this down. For being so small, the quick release plate does inspire some confidence. It's a 2-action clip and lock, and your camera feels like it's fused to the tripod head. Peak Design includes this fold-out Allen tool wrench, which can adjust the plate and all of the joints and the feet. Now, this is one area I'm sure people are gonna have some concerns. Losing an Allen wrench means not being able to detach the plate out in the field. So I might recommend a different solution than this leg clip that comes with the tripod. Now, maybe use something like a detachable keychain and keep that connected to your camera bag. It's the one piece I'm most concerned about losing. Even if a replacement isn't prohibitively expensive, that just because you can order one of these online doesn't help you if you lose this out in the field. But I know this company is taking mobility seriously with this last touch. In the center column, there's a fold-up phone mount. Beautiful. This is amazing. It's not some afterthought or add-on accessory to buy separately. It's right here and wonderfully considered as part of the tripod design. There's a spring-loaded magnet to help tuck it away and pop it out when you need it, so it doesn't just kind of flop out or slide out of this center column. That's so well considered. Let's be real, I know a lot of photogs are probably rolling their eyes at the gadget phone reviewer, but this stuff matters. I don't think I'd recommend this tripod as the solution for mounting your phone, but it's an incredible consideration to acknowledge that phones are becoming a more important part of the content creation landscape. A phone might be the most accessible camera you have, or we might want to work phone content into our overall workflow. And it's so stupid fast popping this out. Instead of dealing with a plate or another mount and screwing pieces together, it's just right here. Plus, this mount is properly sized even for big chunky phones, right up to my LG V60. I can't praise this enough. In my Sony Xperia 1 Mark II video, I talk about how that's a phone camera I would really want to put on a tripod. This is kind of perfectly what I had in mind. Moving on, I can't call these next points outright concerns, but there are some things worth considering when we talk about a travel tripod. Number one, the legs only have 2 distinct locking points, and I'm just spoiled by tripods that usually have 3, especially if you're riding closer to the maximum weight of the tripod. I think it's nice to have one additional angle which locks hard. Number 2, because of how flexible the ball head is, I kind of wish we had a marking on the plate to more quickly line up the plate with the dead center line on my camera lens. Unfortunately, there are some cameras out there that still don't properly line up the tripod thread with the center line of the lens. Number 3, I'm really proper bad at eyeballing whether a shot is level, so I love having bubble guides, but I kind of wish it weren't directly under where a tilt screen might be. It might be a bit easier to read if we had this gauge on the side of the tripod head housing. Number 4, this is a fixed ball and socket head with a reassuringly stiff action, but that means it's probably not the best solution for video if your style depends on a lot of panning or tracking shots. The point of this tripod is to keep it as compact as possible. So if you think you might want a fluid head, you're going to need to buy a universal head adapter, which replaces this ball and socket, and Peak Design does sell one separately on their website. Number 5, lastly for concerns, while Peak Design rates this at a maximum of 20 pounds, which is around a full frame camera with a heavy telephoto lens, because of how thin the center column is, I don't think this would be a great solution if you're working near that max weight at full height regularly. You'd probably want to shop a beefier solution if that's something you need to do on the regular. For how charming the first impressions are on this tripod, I was a little concerned looking up the cost and seeing that starting price somewhat above what I'm currently using. After giving up on cheap plastic solutions, for a while I was using my grandfather's old aluminum Vivitar, which is surprisingly heavy and more than a little wobbly when you're trying to set it up. From here, I moved over to a carbon fiber Davis & Sanford. And this is a similar idea. Travel tripod with a ball and socket head, trying to reduce some weight. It's a little cheaper than the aluminum Peak Design, which is cool for carbon fiber. I really like my Davis & Sanford, and it's not as good. Not as good as the Peak Design. This can get 8 inches taller. I do like that, but it's almost half a pound heavier than the aluminum Peak Design. It's harder to pack when it's fully collapsed. It's slower to set up and tear down, and it has a few of those touches I don't like. You know, like the rubber grips that slide around on the tension rings. My current tripod has been a very good budget prosumer solution, but for me, the Peak Design easily justifies the price increases over this tripod for the incredible consideration of feature set and implementation, where even the gimmicks on this tripod feel better polished than the core features of my Davis & Sanford. The aluminum version of the travel tripod is one of the best prosumer accessories I've ever used. But if you need to take it a step farther, there's a more expensive carbon fiber version, which shaves another 2/3 of a pound off the weight and offers more rigidity, that's a hard word to say, and a bit more stability. A while back, I was thinking of splurging on a Gitzo or a Manfrotto carbon fiber travel tripod, but it's kind of shocking to see that after adding a decent ball head, those solutions might only save me a couple ounces over the aluminum Peak Design. I honestly don't operate at a level where 6 ounces on my gig bag is going to be worth around $150, maybe a $200 price difference. I think I'm gonna be okay. Obviously, there are considerations for someone's specific workflow, but the more I use this, the more I tinker around, I have not found another solution as carefully considered on all aspects of the design and functionality. I'm shocked tripods are still evolving and we're still improving on portability. Honestly, I thought we were done when I saw legs flip up around the center column for the first time. I thought, there it is. This is peak tripod. We've solved it. Apparently, Peak Design found a way to move past that. And I'm really glad they did. I'll of course leave some links down below for more info on the Peak Design travel tripod, and maybe shop one of these beauties online. As always, thanks so much for watching, for sharing these reviews, and subscribing to the channel. More than just fixating on the camera or the phone, finding accessories like these is one of the best parts of my job. We take this stuff for granted sometimes, but it's always important to look at the whole workflow, the entire chain, and how a well-considered accessory really can improve how you make content. When you take this part of your gear seriously, it helps you get more out of that fancy camera. So if you'd like to help support these broader conversations, there are some links down below. There's a support page on SomeGadgetGuy.com, or you might consider joining the list of names currently scrolling by on your screen. That's a growing community of fun, like-minded tech pals, a huge resource for me as I'm planning future videos and reviews. They're just super cool people, so I hope you'll check them out. Now, you know where you can find me around the rest of the internet at SomeGadgetGuy on the Twitters and the Twitch, and the Facebooks and the Instagrams, and I will catch you all on the next review.